Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode, the fifth episode of the Dead Man's Mic, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. But today, this episode is going to be a little different. We're definitely going to talk about HHN for sure, but we are also going to hop into some other topics in which it was a very epic weekend for us not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, still recovering. We've given ourselves time to generate all those thoughts and keep them together, and we'll be talking about all that kind of stuff. Craig, what's up, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, feeling blessed. I'm ready to get everything started because we have plenty to get into. As you guys can tell,
Hmm.
we've already talked about a lot uh, on this channel. So, the next few, you know, episodes are going to be very information heavy. So, I'm ready to get started. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Well, let's unpack everything going on with HHN right now because that is the main event at hand. First off, let's just talk about today is the 1st of July, which means that we are officially 1 month away. Halloween Horror Nights 34 starts next month at the very end of next month. Craig, how are you feeling leading up to this? The anticipation about all that.
So, my anticipation level based on I'm gonna just base this off last year because last year it was a different hype level. We around
Hmm.
this time we got a lot of houses announced, and we basically I say like around now to mid July, all the houses was announced by now,
Yeah,
and the marketing strategy that Universal had last year is way more different than this year because they didn't have the epic universe factor in that, which is understandable because you want Epic Universe to get all the popularity, you want that to get all the media buzz and all that, and so
absolutely.
you're gonna kind of put HHN on the back burner a little bit in terms of announcements. Not to say it's on the back burner entirely, just announcements wise. But
It's an excellent. Well,
the hype level going in, um, I still feel the same way about I do every year with HHN. It's just that this year, this time around, is different because of Epic Universe. Last year they had the houses announced, and I was excited. Um, I was pumped up, and so it's like everybody's just now just waiting for HHN to start. It's still the same way this year, but they're just announcing the houses a little bit slower, which is okay, understandable because of Epic. But I'm still feeling good about it. I feel like I feel like this year's originals blow last year originals out the water, in my opinion, because I think last year um they were like they were more focused on on how the IPs were going to work.
for sure.
Um, and all the focus and the budget went there. Not to say that originals didn't have any budget whatsoever, but I still think that this year's this year's collection of originals are way better than last year, and the quality is going to be even more grand. So I'm looking forward to it. What you thinking
Yeah.
about this year?
Man, I am totally in agreement with you there. I feel like the rollout, I kind of feel like going into this HHN, especially spec season and more so announcement season, we knew going in that the rollout of house announcements, scare zones, any and everything dealing with the event, I think we kind of knew with the opening of Epic Universe that this would definitely be a little different than what we're used to. But I kind of feel like I like the fact that we are only at the beginning of July, still with about give or take 8 or 9 weeks to go before the event really does start. That there's still some anticipation in the air. Like you said, last year we already knew everything. We were just anticipating the event. But now there's still Easter eggs out there. Like there's still stuff for us to, to find out, to crack the code on, things like that. So I think they're doing a great job keeping everybody on their heels. I'm very excited about the event. I'm really excited to see what else Hollywood is cooking up. I know we only know so much about Hollywood right now, and I know that they tend to drop later in the summer, leading up, with Midsummer Scream. Which there
Right.
was an announcement today. I want to say John Murdy and I cannot remember his name. Give me 1 second. He's the creative director for Horror Nights Orlando.
Hmm.
Um,
They're both gonna be at Midsummer
they're
Scream.
both going to be. It's Michael Aiello. They are
Hmm.
both going to be at Midsummer Scream in Long Beach next month, talking about Horror Nights. So I think what's going to be cool is seeing those two sitting there and really debating how they go about creating, because I'm sure their creative process, their design process, I feel like it's probably different, with the both of them.
Right.
So, in leading into it, this is what we know. I want to say we got this Friday morning. Friday morning, a bomb was dropped. For those of you who do not know, and nobody was expecting two bombs. We were expecting one from Orlando because of Spooky Week trend, but we weren't expecting what we got from Hollywood. So let's talk about it. So we got Horror Nights Orlando. They announced their fifth original house for HHN34, and that is GALKN Monsters of the North. Now, personally, when I saw the artwork, the vibe that I got, I said, this is going to be like that winter house. Like we've had
Hmm.
the Yeti campground kills.
Yep.
And in my mind, I was saying, well, I wonder, I don't like to take every original and immediately make it a spinoff of another original. That's not what I'm saying. But I do feel that there had to be some sort of inspiration, you know what I'm saying, from this property. In fact, looking back at the description for these two houses, or for this house rather, what we have is that in a remote northern village, a wicked being rises from the dead, bringing a horde of monsters and demons from the floors to wreak havoc on a town's people. You will face icy, horned, winged, and wolfish fiends that gradually merge into giant horror. Then you will try to escape the belly of the beast. The intensity level here sounds
It
right where
sounds off
we
the
need it.
charts.
It sounds right where we need it.
Yeah.
Like there's not one house that's been announced yet to where I'm like, I don't know. I haven't said that yet.
See, that's what goes with me saying that this year's collection of originals is just they just bring it. They know
Yeah.
it's like they noticed and look like, oh, you know what? Last year's originals weren't hidden. They weren't hidden like they normally do. So let's just bring the fire this year. Let's reiterate that. Hey, I know last year wasn't as solid, but this year we ain't playing.
And you know what? I agree, because I feel like, and I don't, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I feel like with Horror Nights Orlando, I just feel a certain level of intensity from this in particular lineup that I don't think we've felt in Orlando in quite some time. It just feels like it's ramped up a little bit. And I can't pinpoint what that is. And maybe it's the originals just being so solid. But the intensity level with Orlando this year just seems like it's a step up.
I will say that you know there have been a couple of originals in the past and that have grown the intensity, but it's only been a couple. There hasn't been like a collection of them simultaneously that have grown intensity and interest and um, overall intrigue into you know a collection of that year's originals. So this year they're like I said, they're really bringing it, and they're gonna they're trying to reiterate to people, hey, don't forget about these originals because this year we ain't playing around. Like past years, like I think like 2 years ago when they had it was two originals that stuck out to me, which was Blood Moon and Darkest Deal.
Yeah.
Those were like two really great originals. And it was only like I said, like years past, it's only been a couple. or a
Right.
few. It wasn't all of them. So,
Right.
now that, this year it's like so much intrigue and so much like, potential that can go into these originals. I'm so excited for the selection. And
Yeah.
the GALKN Monsters of the North, um
It's exciting.
guilty pleasure of mine, folks. I love a winter house. I love a winter house. Um, it's it's like, to me, this is like it's like a cross between, like, you know, the Ice King and Game of Thrones, and you got like a Game of Thrones vibe, and then you have like the Northman. You got
Yeah.
that vibe with there, and it's like that. Them styles are like mashed together, and um, I can everybody can use that AC blasting at them high HHN nights. So hey, I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for
Yeah.
this.
Ready for this too. I don't have a picture of the spec map for us to look at right now, but I don't know if this is going to take place in a soundstage or if this is going in a sprung tent. I'm not sure.
I think it's going on the sprung tip because um, I have watched some. I have watched some vloggers on
Hmm.
YouTube, and they have showed that. Well, recently they have just showed that is going to be like the location of the house or where it is going to be in a sprung tent, because all the houses that don't take place in sound stages are going to be in sprung tent. So,
Okay.
and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be where um trying to think of the house where it's like where where right by the Men in Black bathroom, where the Men in Black bathrooms are. It's like
Oh, so
right where
where Slaughter Cinema was,
exactly
where
right
Slaughter
where
Cinema
Slaughter
was.
Cinema 2
Okay,
was. Yep.
awesome. Okay, I like the location. I like that. That's not bad. Well, we are very excited for Monsters of the North. I can tell you right now with this lineup of originals, I plan on going through these houses quite a few
Oh
times.
yeah.
Quite a few times. Like it's just exciting, like you just go through all these different houses and really get your thoughts together. So moving on out to the state of California, in HHN Hollywood, a bomb was
Mm-hmm.
dropped about an hour and a half after Monsters of the North was given to us, and we got the mighty part three,
Three P.
Monstros 3, the ghosts of
Yes,
Latin
sir.
America. So I'm gonna say this. The Monstros, because I'm not just gonna say the Monsters of Latin America as if it was just one house, because
Exactly.
this is a story now. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is a story, this is a series, this is an experience, and I have the pride of saying that I will have gone through all three parts. If anybody didn't go to Hollywood, what was the HHN 32
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago? Was that 2023?
Yeah.
Then you missed part one. But what I love is that they brought part one to Orlando so they could pull everybody in it, last year. So I will say favorite HHN series, original series. They're doing something so well with it. The story just keeps evolving. I would strongly urge anybody who has not been through all three parts to go online to watch the walkthrough quite a few times, try to gain the story before you go through part three if you're venturing out to Hollywood this year to see it in person. Um, the backstory behind part three is one bites, La Llorona, La Mulona, and La Sig. Ooh, I don't know how to pronounce that shit. I don't know how.
This is
But
all good.
these are Latin monsters, all right?
And
And
they're very well known. And
they are very well known, especially La Llorona. We've seen her plenty of
oh
times in
yeah.
Hollywood, plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
But these are three legends that La Mirite wants you to meet, and you will wish that you never do. this story has really gone from a beginning, middle to an end. And this is not really, I know the details going to be crazy.
Oh yeah.
Every Monstros house has gone crazy with the detail. I was so happy last year to see it in a soundstage in Orlando
Yes.
because every now and then you get those
Yes.
properties that you like, yeah, this is so soundstage worthy, and it ends up in a tent. And like, if you're a true HHN fan, you get the difference. There's just a difference there, like you get it. But man, I don't know. I'm very excited. I'm not worried about nothing. I'm excited, and I can't wait to see it.
Monstros 3, I had the privilege of going through Monstros 1 in Orlando last year, and
Yep.
then 2 when we went to Hollywood. So,
I didn't think
so
about
the
that.
so the fact that we went through 1 and 2 in the same year, and it's like a continuation, I was like, cool. I get to go into the sequel house. Great, 10 out of 10, all around cool.
Right.
Monstros 3, I have a feeling that it's gonna always, the Monstros house is always top tier every single year. Every year that they do it. So
Every year.
Monstros 3, I have a feeling that it's gonna be great. But there's something there's something in the back of my head that's saying, you
What you
know,
got?
like like how Universal Monsters last year was with it was like a female centered house. It's like I don't want that stank to be on Monstros 3 because all these characters are women. So it's like I'm not to say that I'm scared, but I don't want I don't want the misconception to be like, oh, this is a women's sister house. It's not gonna be as solid. This reminds me of Universal Monsters last year with a Frankenstein descendant and the Bride of Frankenstein and
Mhm.
whatever. And so um I just had that little tiny thought in the back of my mind. I know Monstros 3 is gonna be great. La Llorona, like one of the most well known
Universal
folklore
Latin
stories
ones. Yeah,
ever.
dude. Yeah.
So, you know, that's already gonna blow the roof off. But one of the characters that was like, like a bird like creature, she was featured in Monstros 2 last year. And Monstros
Yeah.
1. She was in both.
Right.
So, the continuation of the story, I'm really trying to I really want to see how uh Murdy and the crew are gonna execute this. But I really think it's gonna be a really solid house. Really solid.
I do too. Yeah, I'm not worried at all. I think I mean I definitely get your concern for sure. I feel like a lot of people put a red flag on Eternal Bloodlines last year
Right.
because it was a women centered story. And I think that that's bullshit because I actually really enjoyed the house. I thought that it
Yeah.
was great. I thought the detail was great. I thought the story flowed. If we
Mm-hmm.
want to sit here and compare bloodlines from Orlando to Hollywood, I preferred Orlando's bloodlines more than Hollywood's.
Right.
But that was strictly off of a detail piece. I felt that there were too many empty hallways, just kind of with audio, but nothing visual, no actors, like nothing. There just wasn't much there.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that that was a great house in the Universal Monsters segment, and so I think Monstros 3 will be just fine. So I'm looking forward to that. And since Universal Monsters just kind of coming everywhere, man, we can kind of go spiraling right into our big topic for today, which is how epic, how epic, how epic, how epic was Epic Universe. Our first impressions. Craig, I'm gonna let you go first. And let's just do it, man. Epic Universe is here. I'm just excited.
Is here. And so I'll give you I'll give you all a rundown of what my mind was able to process while we were pulling up the Epic Universe. So we stayed at Cabana Bay. great Universal hotel, by the way,
Yeah,
on
love
property. Um, like 5-10 minutes from Epic. Um, literally right around the corner from City Walk and Islands and Studios. Um, as we were as we were riding the bus, me and Nick was, discussing what was going to happen, what we going to see, what was the excitement level. The excitement was palpable.
it
We
was
were
building up.
excited.
It was
It,
building
it
up.
was like a it
Yeah,
was like we were climbing up a ladder, and like the intensity level was like gradually increasing until we got to the gate. I'm telling you, when we pulled up to the drop to the bus loop, and once we stepped off that bus and we could just hear the music, I it felt like I was floating. Like I was like, because the last time we was at Epic, it was during Mardi Gras in March,
yeah, yeah. During Mardi Gras.
and we went over to the property. We went to Stella Nova, and we just stood across the street, and I'm like,
Yeah, I think
we're gonna
we
be
got
over there in June.
yeah, and we got to the bus loop and we were able to look a little bit, but the way that it's built, you can only see the top of the Chronos from where you're standing,
Exactly.
and you can't see beyond it.
And so when we got off the bus, and we were like literally, it's like we were like stepping onto uncharted territory, because I'm like, we're over here now. Like we're actually here
Yeah,
at Epic. This is like we were literally stepping into history. And when we were walking to the front gates, and like, I can look back, uh and at the general parking, where the general parking is, in that path, and I could just see the mass of people walking towards the gate. I'm like, wow, like this is actually happening. We are stepping into theme park history as we know it. And you know it's like, if we were getting closer to the gates, the music, the groundswell of music was just getting grander and grander. And then as we was just and then we got tickets, got our ticket scanned, stepped through those gates, and just seeing the Chronos for the first time. Like there's this thing in life where not like videos and cameras just don't do it justice till you actually see it itself. And the Chronos is massive, and it was spinning, and the different icons from each portal was just there, and people were just like us. They were taking in the moment. They were taking pictures. They were documenting everything, because this is history. And so, you know,
like you can go to
it,
Epic Universe again, but you will never get that, like that experience
you'll never
of
get it
walking up in.
again.
Yeah,
And it's there were just people like, just like me, like I was just sitting there and just like taking it in. It's like, we're here now. And then we step through the Chronos, and we see Celestial Park, and we
mhm,
see the different ports. We see Isle of Burt, we see Ministry of Magic, we see Dark Universe, we see Super Nintendo World, and we see Stardust Racers in out in the distance. And it's just, and then we see the Grand Helios in the back, and like everything, and it was almost like it was all kinetic. It was like all kinetic energy, and it was like all whole new territory. And I just, like, I still, even now, I still have no words in terms of just stepping foot into Epic. And it was literally a moment. It was literally a moment.
yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't start crying, because I'm telling you, I got so emotional. It's like, wow, like when you when you do things that only you get the blessed with the most uh opportune opportunity to do, it's literally like, wow, like this is happening.
Yeah,
And then there was no words, and then we started uh doing things, but we're gonna get into that shortly, but that's just my initial reaction to Epic, and it's just I just can't wait to go back. I can't wait to go
Yeah,
back.
yeah. I would say, walking up to it for me was very, it was like a wow moment. We've watched it be built from the ground up. We've gone
Yeah,
by the construction site. Anytime we're in Florida, we're going by because we want to go see the construction. We're doing just what everybody else did. And when you pull up to it, like, okay, when we went to Universal Mardi Gras and we pulled up to Epic Universe and we looked as far as we could in there and we couldn't see everything. That was the first notion of, wow, this park must be massive. And we have no idea. But once you see it in person and you're standing there, you're like, holy shit. Like, the Universal did that. Like,
yes,
they created this from the
yeah.
ground up. They listened to the fans. They listened to what people want. They thought outside of the box. And so, with that being said, we got to talk about these worlds, man. So I want to go right into Celestial Park. And let's talk about Stardust Racers, the big attraction in Celestial Park. Craig, you were able to ride this while we were down there. I think you said that, was it that one side was more intense than the other? Where,
The green side is more intense than the yellow.
green is more. That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
Um, Stardust Racers. I will say this now. Stardust Racers is the second best. Um, is the second best coaster in the world behind Velocicoaster. People have said time and time again. There's literally a legit battle going on between Velocicoaster and Stardust Racers to see who's the best coaster in the world. Some people say Stardust. Some people say Velocicoaster. I still think it's Velocicoaster
I
because
would put my money on Velocicoaster. I think
every single
Stardust
time
Racers is
because
great.
Velocicoaster that just gives me something that I've never felt before in terms of like riding a coaster, like so many G forces, so many weightlessness. The ride literally gets me out my seat, and I'm a big guy. We're both big guys. Like I don't know how a ride like I don't know how a ride could physically possibly do that to me, but it did. Stardust Racers did the same thing, but Velocicoaster, that's just like a different beast. But
Yeah.
so is Stardust Racers. So back to Stardust Racers. Um, there's a green side and a yellow side. Um, Green is more intense than yellow, but both sides are great. Um, Pulling into, and it didn't even have a long wait at all. Like around the time I went,
Yeah,
um,
it was
that's when
interesting.
everybody was going to Super Nintendo World and Ministry of Magic and stuff like that. So by the time I got to Stardust, it was like 20-25 minutes, and it didn't even really feel that long. Excuse me, because they were running three trains on each track at a time,
Yeah, so
and
it's moving.
capacity is quick.
Yeah, they're pumping
It
people through for
not
sure.
as quick, not as quick as Monsters and Chain, but um, it was quick. And so by the time I get there, and I was fortunate enough to have front row.
Yeah. I remember seeing you come over the dip,
Yeah,
and that, if anybody knows the part, I'll just say the part that everybody can see from the park. This part. That part is so cool, man. Just sitting there watching it.
and like
So,
that first initial launch was crazy. Going over the first uh the first top hat hill got me
mhm.
out my seat. Twists and turns, and then went into the second big launch into the biggest top hat hill, got me out my seat again. Um, More twists and turns and dips, and by the time I got back to the station, it was just grand applause, like that. Stardust Racers is like that. It's
Yeah.
like that. Um,
What did you think
I'm
about um what did you think about, like, Pizza Moon and the different, I know Pizza Moon was the restaurant that we ate at in Celestial Park. And I know we have many more spots to try, but I thought Pizza Moon was great. I think it was effective the way they bring the food out to you. You order from the table. They've eliminated going up to the counter.
and I think that's more that's like a really quick and essential way to handle that because it gets people in and out. You order, get your food out of there. More people in capacity.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I next time when we go, I do want to try Pizza Moon because everything did look good, and I really think and Pizza Moon is very popular.
yeah.
So you know, everybody likes pizza, pasta salad. Um, you know, I definitely want to try Pizza Moon for sure.
Yeah. Now with Celestial Park, I do feel I put at the bottom here what's lacking because I do feel that there are some gaps here.
Yeah.
I have to be honest. Celestial Park is visually stunning. Stardust Racers, amazing. The restaurants, great. But once you get past like Dark Universe, in between Dark Universe and uh the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the Ministry of Magic, it just kind of seems dead. There's nothing really there. They've got that fountain in the middle, which looks great, and it's a great area for people to hang out and just kind of regather themselves.
Right.
But I do think the Celestial Park is in need of another attraction or two. I do. I know the carousel is also a part of Celestial Park,
Hmm.
but it's in need of something else. I feel like there's just something missing.
Yeah. I do feel you on that. Having that little dead spot, because it's kind of like
Hmm.
you're immersed in everything, and then there's like a pause.
Kind of pulls you out.
Right. But I do think um they I do think the creative team will eventually solve that issue, and that you know it's not like it's gonna be a necessarily hard thing to do, but um like there I know for sure that they will add things soon, but
Oh yeah.
if there was like anything that I would necessarily critique, it would be that area. But everything else besides that is great.
Yes, great. Well, that is Celestial Park, and obviously we will continue to update you all on everything going on with the Celestial Park in Epic Universe, should they want to expand or develop anything. But going around the pond, this takes us to arguably, for me, the loudest world out of all of them in the park. It had the most people. I mean, like, there was shit going on everywhere in this world. And this is not a
Yeah,
bad thing, but dude, Super Nintendo World is insanity.
yeah.
It is insane.
So much going on, so much kinetic energy, so many sounds.
Dude,
It's like somebody would get overloaded.
if you are a person that gets overwhelmed by just so much happening in one area and it just kind of feels like almost like uncontrolled, then like Super Nintendo World is unfortunately going to wear you out. It really is. It's beautiful. I mean, it looks great. It looks awesome. There's so much stuff going on. You've got Bowser's Challenge, Yoshi's Adventure, and Minecart Madness back up in there in Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah,
And all of the detail is insane. Everything looks so real. You really feel like you are in a Nintendo, a Super Mario Brothers game. But they also have the extra stuff that you can do, like shit with the power up band, like the you know going around and getting your points and doing all the little games that they have set up.
yeah,
There's just so much to do in there. You almost need to spend an entire day in a Super Nintendo World to knock out how much stuff they actually have in there.
yeah.
And so, I
Um,
mean, Bowser's Challenge was great.
yeah.
Minecart
We already
Madness.
did Bowser Challenge in Hollywood last
Hmm.
year during HHN. It's more the same, but um,
Correct.
there's like the only difference is that you actually enter the attraction through the castle in Orlando, Whereas in Hollywood, you enter through the side and you go up some stairs or
Right.
whatever. But you know, Yoshi's Adventure, cool Omni Mover ride. It's like if you want to, relax,
It's
chill.
a relaxed kind of deal. Yeah.
Right. It's like, let's take a break from running around, ripping and running around. Let's just smooth. And then, you go through you go to the back, you go through Donkey Kong Country, and it's just a whole different vibe. Like you can just
Oh,
tell like the
dude, the vibe
vibe has
is so
changed.
different back there,
It's so different. And the
dude.
vibe and the energy was great. Unfortunately we wasn't able to see Donkey Kong in the meet and greet. Um Everywhere I looked, I seen people with like the Donkey Kong banana floats. That's like the most hot ticketed item
Yo,
besides those Isle of Burke
the bread
mac and
bowl.
cheese cones.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
a hot ticket item, let me tell you that. But
Everybody had those. Everybody had those.
everybody had one. Everybody had one. And then seeing Minecart Madness, let me tell you, that I didn't think it was gonna be that intense, but it was. And the theming and the overall experience of it was so great. I love
Dude,
Minecart Madness.
Super Nintendo World looks great, but just like you said, Donkey Kong Country is an entire different vibe. You walk through because that's an additional portal in the park, and
Mm-hmm.
you walk through that portal, and it really does. You don't think you're in Super Nintendo World anymore. You really are in Donkey Kong Country. Like it can stand out by himself, and it looks great.
Yeah.
It looks great, and it honestly even looks even better when it rains out there because
Yep.
we got poured on while we were out there, and I thought it looked amazing. The section where the cart comes around and goes through the waterfall and everything, man, it looked great.
It was a jungle vibe, and so the
Yeah,
rain
dude.
just
That
added
drum
to
beat
it.
they were playing in there, I was in there rocking. I was like, y'all, yeah, like all
Yeah.
this. Well, that is Super Nintendo World. We really and that was not to throw a knock on Super Nintendo World at all. It's not. It's just that if you're going to Epic Universe, that's the one that's going to pull all the kids to be there
Oh
heavily.
yeah.
That one's going to pull all the families. That one's going to have arguably some of the
Because
most.
there are families of generations of Mario players.
Mm-hmm.
So, grandparents passing down to their kids passing down to their kids, so on and so on. So just seeing families having a good time, it's just great.
So definitely make sure you check out Super Nintendo World. And because we're talking about the lands that are going to pull a lot of the kids, not that all of them do, but we're talking about two big worlds that are close by and two worlds that are visually incredible. Let's take it over to the Isle of Burke. How to Train Your Dragon. Dude, this land is so visually stunning. And I know I keep saying that, but they really did capitalize on making you feel like you are not at Universal anymore when you walk into these worlds.
Yeah.
Like it, I had no complaints, man. I want to say Isle of Burke has the most attractions out of all the lands. What are there, two coasters in this land, or
It's one coaster, there's like a spinning
a spinning
attraction.
thrill ride kind of thing?
Yeah. And then there's a what else? There's like a third one. Oh,
The boat ride. The boat ride.
fire drill, the water ride.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This is arguably the biggest land in the park. There are, I want to say, three different ways around this land. Like it kind of breaks up in the back there. Um, Untrainable Dragon was an awesome show, and we still
Yeah.
got the B show. For those of you who do not know, when we were at Epic, Toothless was not flying. He wasn't flying, but we still enjoyed the show. It was great.
Yeah.
You got to understand, going to a park like Epic has only been open for a couple months now. They're still working out the kinks. They're still trying to
Yeah.
figure things
So
out.
y'all gotta be patient. Y'all gotta
You
be
got to be
patient.
patient. You got to be ready for
And
some
and
certain
we
things to
were
not go
and we
right.
were we were actually fortunate enough to even get a show at all because
True,
up until
because the
that
day
point,
before,
all the shows were like, besides like 2 morning shows, the rest of the shows are canceled.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. It's almost like the same thing with the second day we went to Epic, but it was flipped. The morning shows weren't going on, but the afternoon and evening shows were. So we got the first show of the day in the afternoon, and it really was great. The music, the singing,
Their acting is
the
incredible too.
the acting, the puppetry. It was just next level.
Yeah. Very, very, very well done. Definitely spend some time in the Isle of Berg. Even if How to Train Your Dragon is not something that you watch all the time or it's not something that you have watched, go in there because there's so much stuff for everyone to do and so many cool food items to try. You heard us talk about the mac and cheese cone, but dude, they have like 3 or 4 different food spots in there that were packed the whole time. So they've got some good stuff for everybody. So Craig, I know you'll be excited about this next one. I know you got some thoughts about this next one.
Before you mention that, I will say that mac and cheese bread bowl, that is a hot ticket item and it is worth the hype, ladies and gentlemen.
It
Get
is.
it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it.
Go
It
pick
is
it up.
worth it.
Let's talk about the mighty Wizarding World of Harry Potter,
Mm,
the
mm.
Ministry of Magic, Battle at the Ministry. This is possibly, and we know the argument, but this is possibly going down as the best ride in the park right now. And we can't forget Lacerte, the show, and the wait times are definitely insane, but
Yes,
the wait times are definitely worth it.
and they are valid.
We said be patient. There's a reason for why we're saying that. Craig, what's up?
Let's talk about the big elephant in the room first. Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, this very well may be the best dark ride in the world. Um, I there have been a lot of dark rides that I have ridden in my life so far. And Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry, it just it's all about, like, it's just like the combination of historical ride systems and like just bringing them all together and incorporating new ones. And it's a Harry Potter fan's dream.
Yeah.
This is now the best Harry Potter ride on property, bar none.
Mm.
And if you're a Harry Potter fan, go out your way to ride it. I would dare I say ride it twice because
I was gonna say, watch
me and
the
Nick
app
were
and
able, yeah, watch
yeah.
the app and keep up with it because me and Nick were actually fortunate enough to even ride it twice on the first day. And
Hmm.
the first day, the wait time stayed above at least 120 minutes,
Yeah.
but it was worth it. I'm telling you, it was
Well,
worth
it's
it.
worth it, and also, Universal's going to do a good job at keeping your attention while you're in line. You're not going to just stand in line with nothing. They're taking you through the ministry, and it looks so good. It is so well done. Going through the flute is just, all of that stuff is amazing. And I want
It's
to
a
point out,
dream.
yeah,
It's like
and
a
I
dream of every Harry Potter fan. Just go through the Flute Network, see the Ministry of Magic
absolutely.
atrium.
And
Like,
we got to point out that Universal made a point because they knew that the ministry was going to be so incredibly incredible on a visual standpoint that there is a way for people who are in the park who don't necessarily want to get in line for the ride to just go in the ministry and hang out
yeah,
because they have people selling drinks in there and things like that. You still get that experience of going through the flute without having to get in line for the ride. And
yeah,
I think that is definitely a very good win on Universal's point because if they wouldn't have done that, then only people that want that thrill ride would have been able to see
yeah.
their massive creation, and that creation is
And I
incredible. I would
will.
argue to say that's probably the most expensive thing they spent money on in the park.
Oh yeah, and especially based off, like, the ride system combining like Tower of Terror ride vehicle with movement of with the movement and freedom of a Spider-Man scoop vehicle is just great, and the
Yep.
animatronics so lifelike. Those Death Eaters, those are the most realistic.
Bruh.
Those are the most realistic animatronics I've ever
I
seen
thought
in
those
my
Death
life.
Eaters were real people. Like
Yeah,
normally, you can look at an animatronic, you're like, man, they look real, but that's still a person, or like that's still a animation. But no,
yeah,
those Death Eaters. I mean, you couldn't have told me that was an animatronic. I would have been like, there's no way. They looked so realistic.
yeah.
They looked so
It was
realistic.
mind blowing. But yeah, go out your way to do Minister of Magic. 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
That's
10
all
out
I
of
gotta
10.
say.
The show was great. We really enjoyed that. Definitely go see it. Um, One thing I will say about the ministry, there are a lot of shops, there are a lot of cool restaurants and things like that for you to try in this land. I'm not sure if the Ministry of Magic needs another ride. I feel like they could go with another ride. And I feel like Harry Potter's lore has more than enough theming for them to figure something out that could,
And they do have a plot of
go in
land
there.
back there.
And they do have a plot of land. So definitely go experience the Ministry of Magic. It's really cool. Really
And
cool.
LeCirque Arcanu, that show is amazing. The most technologically advanced show I've ever seen. The puppetry is great.
Yeah.
The acting is great. It's like literal magic in that show. So go out
Yeah.
your way to see that as well. And
Absolutely.
be sure to line up like right when the line opens because that line does reach capacity fairly quickly. So
It does. And they cut it off fairly
they cut it
early
off like
before.
10, 15 minutes before the next showtime. So
Yeah. So make sure you get in line for your shows. Make sure you get in line in a good, timely enough manner so that you can make sure that you have a seat.
yeah,
Now, this one is what I'm most excited about. And Craig, I feel like we spent so much time between the Wizarding World and this land more than probably any other land in Epic, and that is Dark Universe.
yes,
Dude, Darkmoor is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen created at a theme park. And that is not just because I'm such a fan of horror and things like that. This land is just incredible. Two restaurants, three shops, meet
yeah,
and greets, ways to, do face paint and everything, plenty of photo ops, not to mention Monsters Unchained and Curse of the Werewolf and the
yeah.
Burning Blade. I'm 10 out of 10 on this land. I, Monsters Unchained to me is the best dark ride in the park, and I know we really only have two dark rides to go off of
Right,
right now, but the detail is insane. They really make you feel like you are truly in the catacombs under Darkmoor. And for those of you who know why I said that phrase, then that means you've been on Monsters Unchained. That's all I would say about it.
right.
But the animations are incredible. The vibe is incredible. Dark Universe at night is like two different worlds from when you go through there during the day.
Yeah.
And we really enjoyed the steakhouse too. It was really good.
Uh, Dark Universe, 10 out of 10, the best theme park land in the world.
Yeah.
Um, the immersion, even during the daytime when it's really catered to the nighttime, they don't really get a lot of time at nighttime because the park closes at 9. But Dark Universe is like the if you're a horror fan, this is your dream. This is your dreamland. This is your
Yeah.
dream experience. This is your dream attractions, dining. Like the overall vibe is just amazing, and um,
It's truly incredible. It really
it
is.
really truly is. It's a testament to what Universal is doing right now. They
Yeah.
want you. They are not. They're not playing around. This ain't your mom and dad's universe. This is how it is right now.
Yeah.
It's literally a theme park arms race. And what Universal wants to do is changing what they're doing is changing the game. Like no, I believe what people are saying is true. Can't no other theme park do a horror based land than Universal. And that is
Well, and
what
they created the genre.
they created the genre, and that was played into factor. And the fact that um Josh Tomorrow and Bob Iger visited Epic Universe just to look at Dark Universe because they're creating their own villains land. It's just that yeah, the villains land will, I'm sure the villains land will be great there, but it just won't capture it just won't capture the aura of Dark Universe. And
Well, and it'll be two
um
different vibes too, two different audiences,
right,
two,
two and there are two different like um villains Disney villains. They're not horror villains. They're like villains, like in a movie. They're like a kids villains, like horror movie. I mean, not horror. They're just like regular cartoon villains, or whatever.
yeah.
But these are monsters. These are violent monsters, um, the fact that Universal can incorporate this into a whole land is just mind blowing. And the violinist going around and the team members just staying in character, and the Invisible Man walking
Yeah.
around. There was a moment where we caught. It's a moment where we caught the Invisible Man walking. And we all like pointed at each other. We was like walking, and as he was walking, and it's like, yep, I'm sold. I'm
Yeah.
I'm
No.
sold. And as
the
soon
land
and
the
as
land is popping.
and
It's
as soon
popping.
as we saw Frankenstein's manor in the back with the kinetic energy flowing through the land, I was like, man, I was like, yep, I'm sold. This is my new favorite land ever. This
I fell out.
and
I definitely fell out.
Monsters Unchained is just nothing you have ever experienced before. It uses the same Cougar Arm robot technology as Forbidden Journey and Islands, but it just takes it to a whole. It takes what it learned from there and just improved on it in every single aspect, and just turns it up
Well,
a
and
notch
your
to a whole nother
experience is
level.
different, literally depending on which seat that you sit in.
Yeah,
Like your vantage point from different animatronics and things in the ride, everything just looks different. They really hit home with that theme of being in the catacombs under Darkmoor, and these catacombs stretch for miles. They make you feel like you really go through that for a long time. In reality, you're only on there for like what, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, maybe, but it is such an awesome
you see the catalog of monsters is so crazy. You see
ride. Yeah.
the Hunchback in the Bell. You see Phantom playing the organ, and then
Creature was in
you
there.
see Creature, you see the Mummy, you see
Yeah.
of course Frankenstein, and then you see Wolfman, Dracula. Oh man, it's,
It was awesome.
you gotta see it to believe it.
You do.
We're only telling you, but you gotta go see it.
Yeah. And all of these rides that we're mentioning, the detail is so crazy and the amount of storytelling that's happening. You need to go see these rides and ride them more than once. Hear us out. Like, hear us out. You need to go ride it more than once. Dark
Yeah.
Universe is insane. Go eat at,
Curse of the Werewolf is a
yeah.
really great 2 minute coaster. It spins too, so um that's a good little coaster. I think it could have been longer, but they did what they could.
Well, I think what's
Um
cool is that Curse of the Werewolf was originally supposed to be a show. And
right.
and they decided to go the coaster route, which is great. Yeah, it definitely could be longer.
Dobbs
Um,
Steakhouse was great.
Hey, Das
Food was really
Steakhouse.
good. The vibe, the lights turn red at sometimes. The
Steakhouse,
vibe.
fire, fire.
Burning Blade Tavern, the vibe was just incredible. Seeing the
Yeah,
Burning
that's it.
Blade catch fire,
Yep.
great. I think everybody should see that. And that's like the dragon breathing fire in Diagon Alley. It's that type of moment. Everybody should just and then everybody was just lined up to see that at night. At night it hits different. I'm telling you.
Definitely. Yeah,
And
if you can go
I know you
see it.
tried some drinks in Burning Blade.
I did. I want to say it was, oh God, I can't remember the name. It was something heart.
Pure Heart.
Per Pure Heart. Yeah, I tried that. Very good drink. It was like a whiskey kind of beer mix type of drink. It was very good. You know the drinks are gonna be a little pricey, but that once you're in Epic Universe, you literally don't care. Swipe the card.
It
It
really
just
don't. You like, hey, I'm here
it
now.
it is what it is. We gonna
For
swipe the
real.
card and hurt later.
I
That's what
feel
we
the
gonna
same
do.
way. I feel the same way when I'm at HHN. I'm like, listen, take
Yeah, no,
it.
exactly. So before we close it out, because I know we got to bring this into a close real fast, let's just kind of rapid fire for a couple minutes here. Epic Universe, we know that expansion permits have been granted. We do know that those plots of lands, I want to say there's one off of the Isle of Burke or maybe Celestial Park over that way. And I think, Craig, you mentioned earlier, there's a plot of land either over by Dark Universe or the Wizarding World,
They
somewhere in
both
there.
actually have two plots of land.
Okay. So where do we see Epic Universe in 10 years? And do we see a city walk south? Because that is one thing that I do think Epic could benefit from, because before you get to the park, there's nothing.
Yeah. Um, I think so like the plot of land where um Dark Universe is I think that I think that it could be um maybe Creature from the Black Lagoon. It could be an attraction based on that because I know Mock Rise has a they have a they have a new ride system that can it's kind of like a water coaster in a way.
Yep.
Um, but I know Creature from the Black Lagoon is definitely heavy speculated from there. Um, Ministry of Magic, I'm not quite sure. Um, I'm not quite sure what could go there, but we'll see. City
Yeah.
Walk South, I really think Epic Universe can benefit from those. So
Yeah.
I'm just waiting what they can do.
I definitely think, yeah, I think all of these lands could benefit from another attraction. I think Dark Universe especially could benefit from another attraction with all these monsters. I expect that, not expect, but I predict that within the next 10 years that all of these lands are twice the size that they are now,
Yeah,
and that it'll definitely it'll show itself for sure. Creature should definitely get a ride. I really don't want Creature to have a show, not with all that land that they have out there. For HHN purposes, I'd love to see a show, but a ride would suffice. City Walk South could definitely see that coming into play. And hey man, we're just gonna keep going down the Epic Universe and
yep.
and taking it all in, man. We are here for the journey along with Universal Creative
Yep,
to
we
see what
are.
they
We
come
always
up
gonna
with,
be
man.
here. We always gonna go down there. Hey,
Exactly.
we gonna be annual fast holders very soon.
Hey,
So
the UOAP is coming, man. It's coming.
it's definitely coming.
So, yo, be sure to follow us on TikTok, Twitter. We don't call it X around here. Instagram and Spotify. We will be on Apple Podcasts and all other podcast platforms very soon.
Yeah,
But until then, keep rocking with us on Spotify and our YouTube. Keep running it up. Tell a friend. Keep subscribing. Leave comments. Hey, hit us in our inbox. We're always down to debate and talk and put groups together to go hang out at the parks, man. That's what we
yep.
do. And we will see you guys real soon with another episode. My name is Nick.
Craig here. We gonna see y'all. We
And
gonna catch y'all on the next one.
yeah, man, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Dead Man's Mic. We'll see y'all soon.
Peace.